We on NFL Trend Zone are doing the Week 10 look back and the Week 11 preview. I guess kind of look at the things that are going to be fascinating in Week 11. I'm going to start with Wes this week for Week 2. We're going to do two apiece because we went long-winded last time, about 70 minutes. So let's start with your first Week 10 surprise, kind sir, in San Francisco.
I will go with the Washington Commanders unseating the previously unbeaten Philadelphia Eagles in Philly on Monday Night Football.
You called it, kind of. You
kind of, yeah.
Nibbled at it.
They would have needed Chase Young to get this to happen, but they were able to do it without him, which was surprising. So, yeah, it had that feel after they played Minnesota close.
Mm-hmm.
Just the way that their defense was structured. They have the 5 defensive linemen, 2 linebackers, and 4 on the back end, or one linebacker and 5 on the back end, just depending on formations. And it was pretty impactful from watching it during the Vikings game. They gave the Vikings offensive line fits.
Mm-hmm. Only team to do so all season.
Yeah. And I know Philly has one of the better ranked offensive lines in the NFL. And I just thought that the way that defensive line was operating, that they would also give Philly fits. And, in a way they were able to do that. Some injuries for Philly during the game. AJ Brown primarily also helped aid Washington, I believe. But yeah, they are a gritty team, and one that I thought would be able to go into Philly, and if they were able to win the turnover battle, could come out victorious, and that's what they did.
They caught that one, a couple of good breaks too. When on that deep ball I saw when the guy just got up and fumbled it.
Yeah,
that was a huge. But good things like that happen.
Yeah.
When you were teasing that, Wes, and I think Cody joined you. Maybe, yeah.
Yeah,
I thought it was in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was I thought you guys were being trendy by saying, all right, they're probably going to drop one at one of their rivals' house. But then, it turned on the TV. I was like, what? This is in Philly. These guys had some balls making this call.
Yeah.
All right, Jason, what's your first item from Week 10?
Lots of good games, I thought, as I was perusing through the schedule. I couldn't help but notice one thing here. The score of this game, I don't think really surprised me or anything. But the Cardinals and the Rams, when I was looking at the stats of this game, I thought I was looking at a preseason game. Well, where were the starting quarterbacks in this game? I must have missed. I didn't know that they were both hurt.
They were both questionable leading up to it, and then I think it was kind of one of those Saturday night things where both Rappaport and Schefter were like game time decision, but not looking optimistic. So it just turned.
Yeah, and neither team is too good right now, so maybe that's why it didn't cross my radar. But Colt McCoy came in, had a real good game, and got D-Hop involved immediately. So
McCoy always does that.
He does, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he always has. So no, the score of that game didn't surprise me. I guess when I looked at it and noticed that, wait a second, I had to double check that. Yeah, this certainly was played on November 13th. But the Rams 3-6, yikes,
cooked. They're done.
Done. How long is Cup out for?
At least 4 weeks, maybe even longer.
Might as well shelf him for the season.
Yeah, if you got the Seahawks and at this point the Cardinals, which I don't think it's going to last, but also the 49ers making the playoffs ahead of you. And the NFC is starting to get a little crowded for the playoff deadline, especially with maybe Green Bay. Some people are thinking they turn it around again. But I agree. Shelf Cooper Cup. Is Sean McVay going to leave this summer? People were talking about him potentially going to ESPN. He has more job security there, could make more money. Aaron Donald's another year older. I think they'll run it back another year, and then if they suck again, he retires. But they're definitely at a moment to where they have to choose which direction they're going, for sure.
I agree, and I don't know how they don't suck, right? They don't have any draft picks again, do they?
No.
I mean, we
No,
got to
not
get
really.
we got to get to 2026 before that can happen again.
That was normally I'd let you go here, Cody, next, but that was my first one, was that the Rams are dead. Just dead. They're 3-6, and because the Packers made some big splash, winning a game at home. Yay. And then the 49ers are gonna be at least 10-7, and then the Commanders look good. And then for the Rams and the Packers to make the playoffs, one of them, that means the Giants or the Seahawks are gonna have to take a dump. And it just doesn't seem like any of that's gonna happen, nor are the Rams any good right now. So
And I loved how you just said that, Dustin. And the Packers, man, not even concerned about them as a Vikings fan. That's so great. I love it.
No, I'm to the point with my enthusiasm's always there, but my confidence in the Vikings, where if the Packers do make one of their stupid little runs and they're the 7th seed, I'm like, bring them
it
on.
on.
Yep. Bring them to US Bank Stadium. Normally, if the Vikings were in that situation, that would have meant they're going about 11-6. They're going to win the division. And then I'm going to look down and be like, oh, great. The Packers are coming. They're going to win, aren't they? But the way that the Vikings are finding these sweet ways to win, I'm just like, doesn't matter. Bring them on.
Awesome. So good.
But the Rams, per 538.com, they have a 6% chance of reaching the postseason. And it really doesn't improve much if they win the next 3. They get up to like 33%. So I think that kind of what we teased, that they just weren't hungry. They had a coach and a defensive tackle that thought about retirement. They just didn't have the fire in their belly. And
and their offensive line is, I haven't actually looked at it.
Riches to rags.
Last time I briefly looked at it, it is consistently, especially because I think I saw maybe my last Rams game was around like week 6 or something like that. And they were talking about how they had different lineup for the offensive line every week to that point. And I know for a fact 2 more guys have been hurt. The only one I knew was Joseph Noteboom, who is hurt. So it's like, I don't know. It's, to me, looking at their offensive line, it's crazy that a professional football team is putting that out there. It's honestly worse than any line I could think of. And I don't know if that's a testament to Sean McVay covering things up, but you could definitely tell where they're being exposed this year because their run game is horribly inefficient, which, if you think about it, I feel like that's like a first in a while whenever you think about how many teams are suffering through that, from the Chiefs to the Broncos to the Rams. There's all types of teams across the NFL who are getting like, I feel like 30, maybe 20 net yards rushing a game. Kind of nuts.
Yeah, those Broncos, huh? Man, hey, they got 3 third-string linemen.
Yeah, I see their running backs projected scored fantasy every week, and they're all available pretty much in every league. And it's like, there's no way he hits that. 9 points, 6 points. There's no way he hits 6.
Yeah, I think on the Rams, Andre Whitworth, Odell Beckham, and Von Miller got out at the right time, at least for now. It depends on how they retool. But Cody, sorry, I stepped in front of you. Give me your first one.
Oh, you good? I got Commanders Eagles, which Wes pretty much, he covered a lot of great things about it. But like he touched on, this was an important one for the Vikings. The Commies, they caught a division foe sleeping. Wes actually turned me on to this last week on the show, and I was like, he has a point. They could pull this out. And I was even at work telling people before the game, I was like, man, the Commies might take this one. So Wes actually made me look pretty smart at work. And then how about that? We can't talk about this game without talking about that Heineke kneel play. I mean, I think that's a call that they have to make. It's a shame we didn't. At the same time, it's a shame we didn't get to see Philly try to march down the field. But I mean, now it's looking like, man, either was that planned and they're really smart for it, or did they just open a can of worms? Just have your quarterback scramble out in the last 2 minutes whenever they're down a couple timeouts and have them take a knee. You need that first down. Lure them into a quarterback late hit. A defenseless quarterback hit.
Celebrate like a fanatic afterward.
Yes.
Like it's a big badass thing.
Yes. Come on, Heineke, roll around a little bit down there,
Yeah.
But I thought that was super interesting. And don't now, but the Commanders, I thought Ron Rivera was, potentially on his way out this year. Now, I mean, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers are who they are, but you would think that Aaron Rodgers would beat a team like Washington. It seems like one of those teams he owns. And they didn't stand a chance. The Commanders beat the Eagles. They played us pretty tough. I mean, the Commanders are playing some good football. What's crazy is they're at the bottom of the NFC East.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing that's crazy is the AFC.
Couple games back too, ain't they? From
Yeah, they're what Giants are like 7-2, Eagles are 8-1, and the Cowboys are 6-3.
Mhm.
And the same with the AFC East. That's pretty crazy as well. If you're in
Yeah.
the East, you're winning. But I mean, what were we talking about? Maybe potentially 4 teams from the AFC West at the beginning of the year.
Oh, jeez.
Who
Oh,
would have thought it
jeez.
came from the
Long
NFC?
time ago.
Or even, I feel like the AFC East is even crazier. How are you going to tell me that the Bills are behind the Jets and the Dolphins?
Dolphins.
Yeah, that's what the
Bang,
Vikings do.
Wes
bang,
would tell you that.
Yes, and the Vikings have beat them both, and they will beat the Jets in 3 weeks.
Hey, I said that's another thing I called. I'm taking credit for this. The Jets. I said at the beginning of the year, it feels different this year. You guys got to give me props on that one.
Oh yeah.
Of course,
Yeah,
I
you
also said Zach Wilson was going to be a top 15 quarterback, so I was wrong on that. But
No, once he does take his Fieldsian leap, then they're gonna be quite even better than they are now. I should say they're already,
yeah.
and their fourth quarter demons. I'm getting familiar with fourth quarter stats because the Vikings are so delicious in the fourth quarter, but the Jets are even better in the fourth quarter. It's pretty wild if you pull their point differential and their metrics. The thing about the Eagles game I want to mention before we get to West for round 2 is that I don't like the Eagles one bit. I never will. When was it Dallas with the tight end Dallas Goedert when he had the face mask and fumbled and they reviewed to make sure that it was a fumble. That's how it went down, right? And then they determined that it was indeed a fumble and Washington ball. It was hilarious because, it was plastered all over the stadium that it was an egregious face mask. And the refs were just like, first down, Washington. And you really think that in a game this profitable, the NFL company, there should be some sort of, extreme circumstance clause that, if you're in the replay and you see that, it should be some sort of negating factor. Not that I care that they were hurt by that, but I remember it happened against the Vikings in 2018 or 2019. When Stephon Diggs scored a touchdown and they went to go review it. And they're like, oh, by the way, Dalvin Cook held somebody. So you're not going to be able to take that touchdown. And that sucked. But I think in those circumstances, especially when you start to hit playoff time, that if that would have been in the postseason, that it would have been as egregious as the Saints-Rams pass interference thing where there's nothing you can do about it. So I think that there should be some sort of council that comes together and says, hey, this offseason, we should have some sort of extreme measures clause where if we see something in replay, we're going to do something about it. Maybe you start with it just in the playoffs and you'll never use it. Who knows? But that's my soapbox there. Again, I'm not defending the Eagles because I don't give a shit about them. Wes, what's your number 2?
I'm guessing somebody else will jump on to Vikings Bills, so I will keep it short with my next one here. I will hop on to the Dolphins trouncing the Browns. They beat them pretty handily. Tua at home is just lights out. I think he has a high like 130s passer rating in his last 3 home games. That offense when Tua is playing is humming, even when he's not playing. As many of us saw against Minnesota, Miami was able to move the ball kind of at will. And the defense is gelling. They definitely play a lot better at home. So yeah, I got the Dolphins showing out at home this week, and then I'll probably chime in once somebody else brings up Bills Vikings.
That relationship that Tua and Mike McDaniel have is pretty special. I don't know if y'all have seen like the clips of Tua mic'd up this past weekend, but it's literally like 2 bros on the sideline. He's all like, Tua, what pass do you want here? And he's all like, whichever one scores a touchdown. And he's like, yeah. Like, well, you never see stuff like that. I always have a soft spot for Mike McDaniel because admittedly that was the guy I wanted in Minnesota. Obviously, Kevin O'Connell, I'm glad to have him. But I'm sold on the Dolphins, just like Wes has been all season. But I think,
Wes saw that in March.
Yeah, I think that by the end of the season, the Dolphins are one of those teams to where we could be talking about how they made history with their 2 receivers over there. They don't have much of a rush game. I mean, they do kind of now with Jeff Wilson, but I mean, Tua, especially with Tyreek is killing it out there. I cannot believe that he's not. Justin Jefferson's the leading receiver in the NFL right now, right? I know they've been battling it out.
Tyreek has, I think, 79 yards on him, but Tyreek has a bye this week.
Yeah, I think it's per game.
So
per game, Jefferson is the leader, but
those
Gross.
two are killing it.
Yeah.
I was telling Amanda, my wife, today about how, Justin Jefferson hits 2K yards, or even Tyreek Hill, we might finally have MVP whispers for a receiver. I know we kind of had some with Cooper Kupp and Michael Thomas that never got traction.
Mm-hmm.
But wouldn't that be neat? Justin Jefferson win MVP. Or Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill deserves it for sure over Mahomes, maybe.
And it would make sense that Jefferson, I wouldn't even say breaks the streak because it's never happened, starts the trend, because it will mean that Kirk Cousins was the guy throwing to him. And of course, you're not going to give him the MVP.
And you called that. You called that at the beginning of the season. I said Kirk Cousins might win MVP. And you're like, no, if they're even thinking about him winning MVP, it's probably going to be Justin Jefferson that takes it.
Oh, I know how these voters think.
Well, Jefferson makes sense, though. But Hill, though, I mean, Waddle himself isn't too far behind Hill. So, I mean, how could you give it to that guy? I mean, True. Jefferson for sure, 100%. I mean, Jefferson better win the MVP.
Yeah, it'd probably go to Tua if it went to Miami at all. If Tua just kept up his insane play.
Because both those guys are on pace for at least over 1,500, aren't they?
They're way over.
Way over that. They each average like 100 yards a game almost.
Yeah, I saw
when Jefferson has like 105 yards, it feels like an off day.
Yeah, he's averaging, I think, like 7.7 catches a game and 115 yards or something like that. Justin Jefferson is. That is crazy considering you need like 65 a game to hit 1,000.
Yeah,
67
with two like almost shutouts when he was double covered against. Well, I shouldn't. In the defense of the Eagles, Darius Slay did have his way with him, but the game after that, I believe it was. I think the Lions slapped double coverage on him all afternoon. But yes, it would be really cool, especially if Jefferson. But if one of them gets substantial MVP votes, I'm assuming they're going to figure out a way to give it to Josh Allen because they'll probably win the next 5 or 6. I know that they're just chomping at the bit to get him an MVP. Whether he deserves it or not, it's a different story, especially after last week.
I don't know. I got a take later that might surprise your Josh Allen take.
Oh, really? I gave a pretty juicy one on the show with Bryant McKinney. I'll see if I can bring it back up. Jason, what's your next one?
Well, real quick, how many picks I'm sure that you're going to touch on the Vikings Bills game, but how many picks did Josh Allen have against you guys?
2 and a fumble.
Yeah, that's 3 games in a row with 2 interceptions. I mean, so God, it's hard.
Gunslinger is gonna gunsling.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I don't know. I mean, I thought that the freaking Lions Bears was a really good game. Boy, that was good. I thought a couple of I guess by all accounts in the NFC bottom dwellers. It was nice to see them duke it out. Hey, the Lions got 3 wins all of a sudden. I remember just a couple of weeks ago we were talking about they were only 1, and we thought they had more at the time. And then I really like what I'm seeing in Justin Fields. Holy mackerel. And the Bears. What they've done here, from what I've been paying attention to over the last month, has been very, very, very impressive. If I was a Bears fan, I'd be very, very excited, I think. Lions are still a mystery. The Bears defense is, I know they got rid of some guys recently, some of their star power, but the Bears defense is reasonable, right? And the Lions put up 30 points. It's just like a week ago or 2, they were putting up 3. What a mystery that is.
The problem with the Bears is they traded away their 2 best defenders. So
yeah, that's true. But the game right after that, they played good defense collectively.
Yeah.
So obviously that's probably not going to be sustainable with getting rid of that star power like they did, but
I think there's 3 things that work for the Bears right now that really shouldn't surprise in the grand scheme of things. It's A, there's the natural progression of Justin Fields just getting better. B, it's the first-year head coach who's acclimating with his team, and it looks like he knows what he's doing. And 3, they got the memo that you need to use the guy like Lamar Jackson instead of Phil Simms 30 years ago. Like, it's just not who he is.
Use him to his strengths.
Yeah. So somebody was just like, we got to try this out. And, they're not really winning a bunch of games, but, he's stuffing stat sheets, and Wes is using him to win fantasy football matchups against his friends and, that are on the show. And they're turning the corner to be decent. And it looks like now they're going to have some draft picks, and they got Chase Claypool. Whether or not he's a WR1, we shall see.
And
I think he's
crazy
definitely gonna.
cap room.
Yeah, they're in a good spot for sure.
Yeah.
And once again, as in circa 2018, I find myself jealous of the Chicago Bears.
Gross.
It's a never-ending movie for Jason.
It is
Yeah,
same
and
thing.
2016
now.
and yep.
Don't look now. Their last 4 games, they scored 33 points against the Patriots, 29 against the Cowboys, 32 against the Dolphins, and 30 against the Lions. Not the best amount of or group of opponents, but I mean that is a good average to have, especially when you consider they're scoring like 12 against the Commanders the week before.
Oh
that.
man,
Justin
what
Jeff-
I
or
would
not
do
Justin
to
Jefferson,
score
Justin-
30 points, Cody. Oh my god,
Oh gosh.
just
they're-
20.
With
Justin
generally
Fields
and
just
comparatively
randomly.
shitty wide receivers.
Mhm.
Yeah, and Mooney's really. I think Mooney and Claypool. I mean, they could be a
Yeah,
nice little duo there.
they can, especially once they figure out what type of playbook they have that it's going to
Mhm.
use a mobile quarterback to be a mobile quarterback.
It's
Yeah,
just great to see it get better and to
Mhm.
see the vision. And even though at the start of the season, I think every one of us was a little perplexed about what in the world they were doing.
yeah.
But hey, it looks good. And it seems to be getting better each week. So good for them.
Yeah, but also we've seen pretty recently too a team that was applauded for spending their money wisely and having a lot of cap room in the bank. What trophies or awards did that get the Colts besides a fired head coach?
Mhm.
So that's what's really going to matter this summer. They may have 60, 50 million more than any other team in the NFL in cap room, but it matters how you spend it, and it even matters how you don't spend it. If this team, if Justin Fields regresses because they didn't want to spend on this upcoming free agency, which I've heard, I haven't actually truly looked into it, but I've heard it was kind of lackluster. If they don't spend a lot of money in that and he regresses, that's a knock on them too. So, I mean, the Bears are probably maybe approaching the most important offseason, maybe in their franchise.
Yeah,
Or
I
at least
agree.
in my life.
I agree, man. And as a fan, if you're a fan of the Bears or even part of the leadership and organization, you gotta be really excited about what you see and what you have coming up and the assets that you have to work with. Even if they're losing these games, it doesn't much matter at this point because nobody expected them to do anything. I mean, but to get to to field a competent team and to see where it's going, very exciting times. I mean, I'd be pumped, and that's that GM that you wanted over there, isn't it, Dustin?
Oh, I don't want to talk about that anymore. But yeah, way back when, in January, because he was an offensive lineman, I narrow-mindedly was like, well, that's the one thing I want the Vikings to fix. So this guy should be able to do it. This is why I don't work for the Vikings. Because they got the guy who was the best for the job. And there's been a lot of polls decisions that I've been like, what are you doing? But they feel like a team that's going to be a spoiler in the next month and a half because they're getting good at the right time. And even if they're not winning these games, they're going to be a pain in the ass. So, Cody, what's your final one of week 10? We'll get into week 11.
For me, it was the Bills and Vikings game. This game, top 3 game that I've seen in my life. The first one being the Minneapolis Miracle. But I mean, this was a game I was telling Amanda on the couch. I was like, we need a miracle. I said that maybe 6 or 7 more times after I said that. And for the first time as a Vikings fan, I felt like we weren't on the other side of that. It was usually other teams going, man, we just need a miracle here. And then you're watching the highlight and there's a kick sailing, a Viking defender falling. And then when Josh Allen fumbled that ball in the end zone, I lost it, man. I really did lose it. My son was all freaking out. He's like, what's wrong with that? I'm all running around the house screaming, like through my hat. I couldn't believe it. That's never happened before. And I mean, you got, like we were talking pre-show, you got things that happened in this game. There's so many things that, like you said, Dustin, we'd be talking about for a week just from one of them. And all the way from the Gabe Davis no call to the Stephon Diggs catch, which was the best catch of the past 10 years.
It could be ever. Could be ever.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about Stephon Diggs. It was the best catch for the past 10 years for about 5 minutes. And then Dustin Jefferson made the best catch.
Oh yeah,
ever. I'm biased.
That's what I meant, Cody. Jefferson's catch was.
But I mean, there's so many, and we're just talking about what the last couple minutes of the fourth quarter. This game went on much more than that, and it felt like week 2 again. We're down 10-27. I'm over here debating on playing a game at the same time as I'm watching football because it hurts to watch. And then before you know it, Dalvin Cook, and Justin Jefferson. I mean, this guy made at least 5 of his top dozen catches in his career. It seems like they came in this game every single time. It was a great moment to be a Vikings fan. And at the same time, you're sending this Bills team reeling. They're now on a 2-game win or 2-game lose streak. That's good credit to get on your resume for January, for sure. Even though the national jabronis are not giving us the credit that we deserve. They're talking about how the Bills needed all of this to go wrong just to lose. Get out of here. We're not 8 asterisk and 1 at the end of the year, or right now. We're 8-1. Doesn't matter how you get the win. Doesn't matter how you get the loss. That's that.
Oh, I think it's so impressive on so many levels to come back by that much against a quality, Super Bowl contending team like the Bills with it's a top 3 defense. It doesn't get much more impressive than that game.
When you were contemplating playing a video game, Cody, I wrote my snap reactions piece for Vikings territory in the third quarter, unpublished, and then just watch it become useless in a beautiful string of events. And obviously I just had to tear it up and start over.
That's waste of time you've ever had.
It really did feel like the Eagles game where they just didn't quite have it. A little bit more competitive, but didn't quite have it. And then the Dalvin Cook 81-yard touchdown gave you a little hope. Like, all right, well, we don't look like fools. And then the whole atmosphere changed. And when Josh Allen fumbled that thing, I was like in mental disarray. I was like, is this safety or touchback? What's going on? And then when they started to think they had a touchdown, I was like, God, these guys think they got a touchdown. That ain't happening. And then they did. And it's like,
oh yeah.
I
was shocked. I had tears in my eyes. Amanda was looking at me. Her jaw was dropped. I even watched a Paul Allen call today after Pat McAfee retweeted it. And I was like, this guy's gonna crush it for sure. And I watched it. It gave me chills all over again. And I'm not gonna lie, I could YouTube the Minneapolis Miracle right now and I will get goosebumps for sure. I've seen it 1,000 times. It's even better with the Titanic music. I can't wait for the Bills Vikings Titanic music highlights to come out.
I bet you 10 Cake Takes has it. They usually, even though that's what they got popped for, they still don't have a problem for it. My final one of week 10 is my total miscalculation of the Titans before the season, during the season. So I want it to end. They have a 93% probability to make the postseason. It's because their division has become so terrible, and they are 6-3, and they are the 5th likeliest team to reach the playoffs per 538. So I owe them an apology. I think I had a segment about a month ago where them getting close to being left for dead, and they're just so damn well coached with Belichick Jr. and Mike Vrabel. And I think where I always get tripped up, and we've done this show now for 2 years, is I'm very hesitant to put them in a Super Bowl contender. And then therefore my stock on them sours because I'm like, yeah, they're not as good as the Chiefs. So who cares about them? But they're always there, and they're not going to get their 1 seed, I don't think. But they are a damn good football team that will probably do the same thing they always do in the postseason, but they're there and they've totally surpassed the Colts, and there's really nobody else to challenge them, and they're going to the postseason. And I was very wrong about that. All right, Wes, get us going into week 11.
Yeah, why don't we stick with the Titans?
Okay.
I am on board with you there, and I hope that they walk into Green Bay tomorrow night and snuff out the coals of the fire that supposedly is starting to ignite now. The Packers are supposed to go 6-1 down the stretch here and be able to back their way into the playoffs. So I'd really, really enjoy Tennessee walking into Green Bay. Really the perfect team to do so on a primetime game like this. I imagine it'll be cold. They are a team that wants to run the ball, that excels at running the ball. So, I mean, this one is set up for finally a good Thursday game. I'm hopeful for anyway.
Is that a call that you think Green Bay will lose or not quite there yet?
Sure, I'll call it. I'll go Titans on this one.
I think first of all, it'll be about 20 something degrees. So you are correct that it'll be cold. Just check the Weather Channel app. But the thing I find strange about this newfound Packer resurgence after winning one home game is that everything in the last 5 weeks would have had to be just a complete, we're done doing that. We're going to play real football now. And if they were that good, they would have started coming back, 3-game losing streak and putting that behind them. A 5-game losing streak, you're really putting yourself, it's almost like you're doing it on purpose to see if you've got the gumption to go get the 7th seed. And while none of us will rule out Rodgers' magic to do 6-1, that will have meant the last 5 weeks were just a complete outlier of gridiron that they just, for no good reason, weren't good for 5 weeks. That's a really long time to be shitty. So that's my little take.
Sure. You got the whole region in New York that took a dump on Green Bay, and everybody's just willing to forget it. We're talking about the Jets and the Giants here, people. They might be good this year. It's still the Jets and the Giants. Classic A-Rod. That wasn't his thing. Losing to teams like that.
Jason, week 11, what do you got?
Week 11, I'm going to go with, I actually just, James Palmer just tweeted this, and I'm sure that you guys are all very familiar with this stat, but Jefferson needs 88 yards receiving against the Cowboys to pass Moss to be for the most in players' first 3 seasons in NFL history. What a tremendous accomplishment that would be. Unbelievable. So that's my game. Vikings, Cowboys. I want to see how Vikings, come back against another quality opponent and see if they can stick it to the Cowboys and gain another one of those quality wins under their belt. A potential playoff team. I love to see them stack them. I think it's going to be a great game to watch. I think they match up well. But I'm expecting the Vikings to because you always see, well, this was that team's Super Bowl, right? I don't want any of that jargon. I want them to come out and go toe to toe with another good opponent and take them to the woodshed. I think it's possible. I think it's going to happen.
The US Bank Stadium was opened in 2016 for business, and the Cowboys have won there all 3 times that they have taken steps inside. So by that math, the Vikings are due, because that's the only team, I think, the only non-division team that's won in there more than twice. I think, or was it the Saints also have? I have to go check it out. But I know that the Cowboys are undefeated in that building, and usually, even when the Vikings are mediocre, they still play pretty well at home when there's fans in attendance. So I think just to even out the math, I think they're going to win. I wish one of these games they beat the shit out of somebody.
Yeah, well, and this is interesting too. And another stat is because the Cowboys were actually on the opposite end of your Vikings this last week, and allowing, Rodgers and the Packers to kind of come back and win that game, similar to what the Vikes did to the Bills. So it'll be interesting for me to see how the Cowboys respond to it as well.
Yeah, they have a little bit of desperation if they consider themselves NFC East contenders, because now Washington's good, evidently. The Giants are 7-2, and of course the Eagles are 8-1. So they got to just to tread water inside that division and not start to become contenders for the 6 and 7 seed. The Cowboys got to win. But I don't know. There's something different about this Vikings team that I don't see it happening.
There is, and it's great. It's a great difference. I mean, but you're looking at like Zeke, Dalvin, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Prescott, Cousins. I think it's going to be a damn good game to watch, fun game to watch.
Yeah, and Cowboys defense is damn good. I think per EPA per play, it's 4th or 5th best in the NFL. Opportunistic. All right, Cody, your first one, week 11.
Let's keep it going. I got Dallas and Minnesota too. This is my favorite out of division rivalry. I'm from Texas. My dad, Rip, he was a Cowboys fan. So I've watched plenty of Cowboys games. Anytime the Vikings and Cowboys played, I've watched them all. Been doing a couple games here in Texas. With all that said, especially here in Texas, I'm wearing my Vikings garb all week. I mean, the history here is rich, all the way back to Sam Bradford overthrowing in the end zone. I was in prison, surrounded by tattooed felons that have like the Dallas Cowboys star over their eye and stuff like that. And here I am sitting in the middle of the bench, like, yeah, like go Vikings. We ended up losing that game. I had to strip down and spin in a circle on my bunk and dance in front of everybody. But still,
That's incredible.
Another time, this Cowboys, for me, it's a rivalry, and I'm chomping at the bit. Last year, I thought I was chomping at the bit to play this team with Cooper Rush. Jokes on me. But, this year I am truly chomping at the bit to play them again because I think we can come out of this one on top. Y'all alluded to their defense being pretty good, and they are. It still doesn't bother me. They lead the NFL in sacks with 35. They're also 6 or better in scoring defense, yards allowed per play, and passing yards per game. This is a game that Dalvin's going to have to come through for us on. Because one way you can get this Cowboys defense, they're struggling against the run. They got a 29th ranked run defense. Dalvin Cook averages 140 total yards a game against this Dan Quinn Cowboys defense. Dalvin is the key. We get that guy going, I think we're going to steamroll Dallas and Minnesota, which even makes it more lopsided. Aren't we underdogs in this game? But like a point
1
or something like
point.
that?
Mm-hmm. I cannot figure it out.
It's insane. It's national media bias, and I'm putting bets on Minnesota. I'm not even sweating it. Hopefully I won't be as embarrassed as I was with Sam Bradford in 2016, but I know I'll be surrounded by Cowboy fans once again. So if we lose this one, I'll send out a thought for me,
We won't make you dance naked on YouTube or whatever. Yeah, we'll have to get a different sponsor for that. Let's see. Ooh, I lost my train of thought there. Yeah, on the underdog thing, I've been trying. I thought that was a typo when I first saw it, and that was Sunday night. And I don't know. I think it'll even up to a pick 'em, but who cares? At the time of the game. Oh, yeah. What I was going to say is that while the Cowboys' defense is damn good, the Bills' pound for pound is better. And if you can score 33 on the road in Buffalo, and you come home to your glass fortress, Cowboys defense, it's like, yeah, bring it on. It's like everything the rest of the way here. Until they start losing games and look like doofuses, I'm going to be like, bring it on.
Green Bay gave us the blueprint too. I mean, they were killing them on the ground and then proceeded to kill them over the top. I think we could do even better than Green Bay in that aspect. We saw Justin Jefferson going over the top. 12 catches this past week? Yeah, you can't stop them.
Yeah,
but Trevon Diggs and Justin Jefferson might be the matchup of the year so far. Trevon Diggs is having a pretty good year,
yeah,
even better than last year, even though he has less picks.
Yeah, I sometimes now we got 2 weeks sample size of TJ Hawkinson on the team. If I was playing this on Madden, I would just march it. Like, one play I'm going to Jefferson, then I'm going to hand it off to Dalvin, then I'm going to Hawkinson, then I'm going back to Dalvin, then I'm going to Jefferson. And every 10th play I'm throwing to Thielen. I would just intersperse these targets against these 3 playmakers that are so dynamic, and it feels like you can't go wrong.
Feels like we're missing maybe an OBJ in the middle. Although I heard rumors he was going to the Dallas or Giants, but still, I always thought maybe at the beginning of the season, I didn't think we were a team that was ready to add a piece like that in November. Man, what a 2 months.
Yeah, not even the biggest of Vikings optimists foreshadowed 8-1. And every single person in the Vikings orbit when the schedule came out looked at the Bills game and was like, oh, it's going to be nasty because Vikings don't win those games. And we knew they were going to be good.
And Buffalo.
Yeah, that was the whole thing. My first thing about week 11 is because the 49ers are confusing creatures, they're somehow going to lose to the Cardinals. And this is the last time that the Niners will look dumb. And it's just going to be one of those games where they don't quite have it. And the Cardinals are going, not that Cardinals are going anywhere. The city had picked them to go a long way, but I think the Cardinals will win this one, and then we'll start to see the 49ers turn on the Jets because this is usually the time that they do it and get serious. But I think this will be their last folly, and I think that's the Monday Nighter in Mexico, right?
Yes.
Yep. So I'm taking the Cardinals in that one. Wes, your final thing for week 11.
Just piggybacking on that game, I really hope the NFL does something about this. Same team on back-to-back primetime games. We saw early in the year with Denver. I think they did a Sunday night and then a Monday night game. it's the same thing this time with the 49ers. They did Sunday Night Football, and then now they're doing Monday Night Football. I just don't like it. I think it's bad for business. Spread it around a little bit. Mainly, I mean, what you could run into is injuries. One of these teams gets an injury to their star player and they're out 2 primetime games. Who does that benefit? Nobody. That's my little piece on that. The other game I'm looking at is Jets Patriots. This is the second matchup of the year between the two. Patriots handled them in New York. This time it is in New England. New England's coming off of a bye, so this is a game I really think the Jets need. I don't think that they can go into the postseason or get to the postseason if they don't knock off one of their boogeymen, and that is Belichick and these Patriots. So this is, I feel, is a must-win game for the Jets if they want to be taken serious in any conversation for postseason play.
That is my final one, Jets Patriots. So I'm going to step in front of Jason. The only reason I have it on there, I still think the Patriots will win because I trust Belichick in his dark heart more so than Zach Wilson. But I want to call out that the Jets are 4-0 on the road. And I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know how. They're 2-3 at home, 4-0 on the road. So they do something special on the road. Not exactly sure what it is, aside from that fourth quarter magic that I called out. But yeah, so I just on accident, I discovered that when I was looking at the matchups. The Jets are 4-0 on the road. Jason, your final thing.
Yeah, so my final game is going to be the Sunday nighter. I think that the Chiefs Chargers should be a very good game. I'm just preseason. This would have been the golden nugget here. I don't know where this leaves the Chargers if they lose this. And granted, it's the Chiefs, and they're not going to be favored to win it. I know they're beat up, pretty injured, but if they lose, it'll be a 2-game skid for them, albeit it was to the Niners, who a lot of people like, and then obviously the Chiefs. But that brings them to 5-5. And, you know, Benjamin Albright tweeted the other day too, and I love this. This division was supposed to be paramount, as we all attested to, and obviously we should have known better. But I mean, how could we have? I mean, it looked great. The right pieces seem to be added to every team, and but what he tweeted there, we all thought this. There could be 3 coaches fired in that division by the end of the season. You know, Staley, I don't know I don't know what his leash looks like, but it could very likely happen. If they lose, that brings them to 5-5. If somehow Denver wins, they're 4-6 with having to still play the Chargers again. They're within a game of the Chargers. That doesn't seem right. None of that seems right. The Chiefs are the only good team in that division.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And you talk about cursed football, Jason. Let's talk about the Chargers. I mean, this team changed cities and it still follows them. How is this Chargers team the same exact Chargers team that I was watching in 2009 when I started watching football? They are the same exact Chargers
you know,
team.
it's
Billy
funny
Boza, Sean Merriman. I mean, we could go back and forth. LaDainian Tomlinson, Austin Eckler. I mean, LT's better, but, you know, whatever.
Yeah, that
Justin
is
Herbert,
insane.
Phillip Rivers.
Same injuries every year, too.
Yeah, offensive line has great potential. Hurt. You know, I mean, in Keenan Allen, Antonio Gates, different positions, realistically kind of the same player. I mean, it's nuts. Chargers, poor Chargers. My wife loves their uniforms, and I tell her that's probably about the best thing they got going for them.
Yeah, and I say Denver, if they beat the Raiders, they could pull within a game and all that happens. But they're not going to do that either. We know better. This is the game that McDaniels takes it to us in our own house. So, but no, I mean, I think that I don't know where the Chargers go if they fall to the Chiefs, and then, you know, another loss on their record. That puts them back at a losing record. I just don't know. I'm concerned as a Broncos fan. I'd be even more concerned if I was a Chargers fan.
I've never really thought Brandon Staley has shown that he has it. Like, to me,
Not even close. No.
Robert Saleh over in New York, like this year, I'm seeing like this is the guy. Like, they're gonna need to keep this guy for a while. He's not gonna be out the door in a few years. Brandon Staley has never done that. He's actually done things to where I'm like, why'd you go for it on 4th down, like up 3 on your own 40? That doesn't make sense. Why are you playing prevent defense against, I don't know, Nick Chubb? Like, that, I don't know.
And then what do you do with Justin Herbert, though? Obviously, you pay that guy, but geez, what a predicament that they find themselves. Maybe these guys never produced a winning season. I mean,
Philip Rivers 2.0.
They'll get rid of the coach and then they'll start fresh with a big contract for him. I'm making a decree here, and Wes, I want you to remember this: that next spring and summer, when we're starting our 2023 preview shows, when any of us start to point at a division and say murderers row, like this division is unwinnable. It's 4 teams, they're all going to playoffs. Circle that division, it's going to suck. It's happened to us over and over now, where we look at it, we're like, God, who's going to come out of that thing? And then it turns out to be a huge whimper.
It's going to turn out that the only team to coming out of the AFC West is Chiefs.
Yeah, I know.
That's not a single other team.
On the Chargers right now at 538, they have a 40% chance to reach the postseason. If they win over the Chiefs, that climbs to 63. If they lose, that falls to 30%. So indeed, thanks for calling that out, Jason. That's a mammoth.
If they make it, they got a lot of dudes coming back if they're in contention, from Joey Bosa.
Yeah, and there'll be a team nobody wants to play.
Oh, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm. All right, Cody, final thing. Take us off air.
I'm so excited for this Browns-Buffalo game. Whenever I heard they couldn't reschedule it later in the week because Buffalo plays on a Thursday, I was ecstatic. You got snow reports of 3 to 6 feet. I love these snow games in New York. I remember Shady going up there and having an amazing day, and that got me thinking the Browns could take this one and send the Bills on a 3-game losing streak.
Is this Brissett's final game?
Yeah. Is there a world where the Bills don't even make the playoffs? How crazy is that to think about? That's how wild this year is, that there is a scenario here. Usually at this point, we were all thinking Buffalo would be like how the Vikings are in the AFC North, maybe the NFC North, maybe with Dolphins, chomping at their bits, but we did not think that there would be a possible scenario that the Bills could miss. I mean, they're 3rd in their own division. They've been struggling against the run this season. Once again, the snow. And if the Browns can do anything, it's run the ball. Nick Chubb, call him a full Chubb. That's what he should be called this week. He has to be super excited in regards to this matchup. The Bills have been suffering against the run. We saw Dalvin Cook expose them. If there's one way to beat the Bills, like I said earlier, it's to run the ball. And Nick Chubb has been one of the best runners this season, and he should be salivating at this wintry matchup. I mean, it's going to be a fun game to watch. I'm down here by Mexico, so just the sight of snow gets me happy.
Well, let's not forget, though, last year, roughly around this same time, we were having the same conversation about the Bills, though. Don't you remember? That was kind of in the midst when Belichick beat him when he didn't even pass
3 pass attempts.
Yeah.
That's a classic. That's an all-time classic where it's like, that a team did this once, and someone's like, no. And you're like,
it's perfect Belichick. Oh,
it's also something that we usually say about the Chiefs, or at least about their defense, and we haven't had to this year yet, which is a little weird. I think the past 2 seasons we've said what's wrong with them, or at the very least, when's their defense going to show up? So I don't know. We'll have to see if the Bills just got a little growing or a little downtrodden thanks to the purple team. We shall see. All right, gentlemen, that's it for this week. We'll be back on next Wednesday. I think we'll talk off air if we can all make it. Maybe we won't with travel plans or whatever. All right. You boys have a good week. All right.
All right, man. You guys have a good one.
Go pick up Kyron Williams. Last week I said Rashad White. He went off for 22 for 129. This week, Kyron Williams of the Rams.
With that offensive line?
Hey, Cooper Kupp is out of there. Someone got to catch the ball, and hopefully it's not the fullback Skowronek.
I'm going to pick him up.
Kyron Williams got 3 catches. The other two running backs over there is nothing. And
Free
if
fantasy
anything,
advice on trend zone.
that Rams offensive line, you're gonna have to dump the ball within 5 yards, especially if John Wolford plays again.
All right, gentlemen. Talk to you next week.
All right,
All
good
right.
night.